Hey guys, what's going on? Today's video is going to be a little different. I'm going to be showing an uncut Tridolon hunt in the background and doing a little commentary over it. I'm using this video as a pseudo announcement to a new video series I'm planning, going over every aspect of Eidolon hunting. Personally, this is my favorite activity in the game, and the rewards you get and focus you gain are fantastic. It's my hope that going over each aspect of the hunts will help both new and experienced players in their own Eidolon hunting, whether they be brand new to it or have a good amount of experience. The footage you're watching is me and two friends doing the hunt, and while I do own Rivens for my weapons, for the purposes of this recording, I didn't equip them, just to show footage that anybody can achieve, regardless of whether you have a Riven or not. And obviously we're only a group of 3, so we're losing a little bit of efficiency by not having a 4th. But even so, we're able to consistently get 4 hunts done every night. We're by no means the best Eidolon hunting group, but that doesn't mean we can't get great rewards and great focus from the hunts. In this footage, I'm playing the Unairu focus school. This is the focus school that summons the wisps that allow operators to deal 100% extra damage. If you want to know more about this, I just created a video that I'll link to above. My role for the group in these hunts as the Unairu is to pick up all the extra lures. So as you just saw, I use my Itzal to zip around quickly and kill and hack lures as quickly as possible with ciphers. The reason I shoot the Terrorist even while it's invulnerable is to get my combo counter up and ensure that I do more damage to the limbs when he becomes vulnerable. And as soon as that happens, I do my best to break the limb as quickly as I can. Obviously you're going to need a charged lure first, which is when 3 Vombalists are sucked into a lure and its defense icon changes in color from yellow to blue. It's important that you charge your first lure as quickly as possible so you can break the first Eidolon's limbs ASAP. The other 2 members of my group are Madurai, which means that they're constantly charging Void Strike. If you want to learn more about that, I just did a Madurai video as well, that I'll link to above. So I'm the one doing the damage most of the time to make sure that they keep as many Void Strike stacks as possible and are able to break Eidolon shields. Other than using their abilities, that's their main role. And speaking of their abilities, one is Harrow and one is Trinity. Personally, for Eidolon hunting, I think the most important roles to have are, in order, Trinity, Vault, Harrow, and then a damage buffer like Chroma or Rhino. This is definitely the meta group, and they're going to be the first ones I cover in my new video series. Simply because I think they're going to be the most effective videos for most people. But I will be covering other non-meta builds that are fun to use and almost as good, just so people have more options when playing. When the Terrorless goes down, as a Unairu player, I try to kill as many Vombalists as possible to charge the lures, because you need 2 lures fully charged in order to capture the first Eidolon, the Terrorless. Both subsequent Eidolons, the Gauntletist and the Hydralist, require 3 lures, meaning that a total of 8 are required for the full hunt. You may notice that at this point we only have 6, so I'll need to pick up 2 additional lures during the hunt. Again, here you see me shoot the Terrorless simply to get my combo counter up, which enables me to do more damage. For anybody who doesn't understand how Volt Shields work, having at least 1 shield will increase your critical damage multiplier by 200%, and for each shield you'll gain an additional 50% electricity damage. Meaning that with 6 shields, you'll have 300% increased electricity damage and 200% crit damage, making it one of the best sources for buffing damage against the Eidolons. And not only will these bonuses apply to your weapon, they'll also apply to operators, making them good at taking down Eidolon shields as well. I'll be making a full video about this. I just wanted to give a quick explanation just in case somebody didn't know what was happening. The other thing you see me doing is using Itzal's 3 to suck up all the loot at once, without having to pick it up, and then quickly zip over to the lake to put my shard in for the next Eidolon. During this time I also check for additional lures, because as I mentioned, we're going to need at least 2 more. I didn't find any here, so I just dropped down and got ready for the next Eidolon. And again, you see me stacking shields to increase the operator damage against the Eidolons. If you don't know why I'm using the Void Blast, it's to summon the Unairu Wisps at the Eidolon's feet and increase the Void Strike user's damage. If you're curious about the Lanka build I'm using, or my Volt build, or any of my other builds, I'm going to show them briefly at the end of the video. So look out for that if you want to know. But again, I'm going to be making full videos going over the builds. Part of playing Volt is making sure that your teammates know exactly where your shields are at, and then I also always place 1 shield for myself to boost my damage. Obviously having a 4th player that's dedicated to damage buffing, or using a Riven, will greatly increase your chances of one-shotting the limbs. Here I just wanted to show realistic gameplay. But as you'll see, the run I'm showing you is definitely not perfect. A common question I get about the hunts is how do you get energy? And the answer to that is energy pads. If you're trying to go as fast as possible, energy pads are going to be an excellent source of energy for you, and they are definitely worth investing in. You don't want to be running a school like Zenric during the hunts, because it's just going to slow you down. Here the Gantles both summoned his dome and did the ground pound effect that knocks you back, which was extremely annoying. Sometimes things like this can happen during the fights, and you just have to adapt. He also teleported away, causing us to have to look for him. One of my teammates marks his new location, and we all get there as quickly as possible in order to continue the fight. The reason the Eidolon can teleport like this sometimes is because the game is afraid it's going to get stuck on some terrain, so it just teleports it away from you. This is honestly one of the most frustrating parts of the fight, especially because most times it's not stuck at all. And I've seen the Eidolon go up a tree and not teleport away, so obviously it's a little funky. But again, this is where having an Itzal that allows you to travel very quickly across the plains is quite useful, because the faster you're able to move from one position to the next, the faster you're able to complete the tri-cap and start a new one. If you're fast enough at popping the limbs, you can prevent things like Eidolons using their abilities or them teleporting away fairly easily. The way you do this is by breaking a limb on one side of the Eidolon, and then with your next shot, breaking a limb on the other side. The Eidolon will stagger to the opposite side that you shoot, meaning that you can control where the Eidolon stands by alternating fire like this, and keeping it in one position. Unfortunately, in order for this to be a viable strategy, you really need that one-shot damage, because if it takes longer than one hit, the Eidolon can move or cast an ability fairly quickly. And by holding the Eidolon in one place, it makes it easier to position your shots, allowing you to kill it more quickly. And again, speed is king in the Eidolon hunt. The faster you kill it, the more hunts you can get done, leading to more rewards. The Gantalist and the Hydralist definitely have the biggest AoE attacks, and because of that, staying in your operator form as much as possible is recommended. By staying in void mode, by crouching with your operator, you are immune to most damage. This allows you to avoid things like the energy spikes, or the big area abilities that both the Gantalist and the Hydralist cast. And remember, I needed 2 additional lures for the next Eidolon, so I did my best to capture both of them before getting to the lake. You also may notice that I'm pausing my lures for my Trinity player. This is simply because it's easier for Trinity to hold them, because 1, she's in charge of keeping them alive, and 2, they stay out of my line of sight when attempting to break the limbs. And you may notice that it took us a little longer to summon the Hydralist, and that's just because one of my squad mates missed the Eidolon shard. It's not a big deal, he flew back and got it really quickly. But things like that do happen during the fight. Even with lots of captures under your belt, it's not always going to be perfect. And you'll see sometimes I die, which is definitely not a big deal. Just revive so long as you have reses. And on this build I have 6 reses, so I can revive a lot of times without worrying about it. Waiting for your teammates to revive you just takes time out of the hunt.
Energy spike. I advise falling back. That device is insufficient. You are directed to secure and employ additional Eidolon lures. Energy spike. I advise falling back. Energy spike. I advise falling back. energy spike. I advise falling back. Smaller sentients rush to the Eidolon's aid, healing it. You are closing on victory. Act now.
And on the last Eidolon, everybody shoots to try to get it down as fast as possible, because you don't need to worry about your Void Strike stacks at that point. But again here we use the Itzals to suck up the loot quickly and get back to the door for the next hunt. I think this was maybe our second hunt out of the 4 hunts for that night, and I chose to show this one specifically because we got an Arcane Energize as a reward. You definitely shouldn't expect the Arcanes like Energize to drop every time, since they only have a 5% drop rate, but I think it's a good example of how profitable this can be even for someone like me who has a maxed out focus tree. Selling the extra Arcanes you get from the hunts is a great way to make platinum, and the way I've gotten all the Arcanes in the game is simply by running these hunts over and over again. And on this hunt specifically, I got 3 Brilliant Eidolon Shards and 2 Radiant, for a total of 155,000 focus. This is great because this focus doesn't even count towards my daily cap. So you could get whatever your daily cap is, maybe 250,000 on top of whatever you get from the hunts. And remember, I said I'm doing 4 hunts, so even if I average 155 per hunt, that's 620,000 focus for a 50-minute night cycle in Cetus. If you're new to hunting Eidolons, you definitely shouldn't expect focus gains like this, simply because you're not going to get as many hunts completed. I would say an average is 1 to 2 for new players, but even completing just 1 to 2 hunts can net you anywhere from 200,000 to 400,000 focus. And as you can see, I've saved up enough shards to get millions and millions of focus if I want to, simply by running the Eidolons over and over again and collecting the shards. This really is the best way to make focus in the game, and it's how I capped out my tree. And on top of focus, this is also a fantastic way to get sentient cores to cap your rep. Even doing 1 Eidolon, if you do it enough, you're never going to run out of cores. As you can see, I have almost 7,000 of the flawless cores, and I'll probably never spend all the ones that I have. As for the builds I used in the video, this is my Vault build. This is my Lanka build. This is my Sickers build. And this is my Atarax. And as for my pet, I have an Adarzacavat with the Cat's Eye buff to give me extra crit chance. I'll go over all of these in more detail in a later video, but I just wanted to show you guys what I was using for this. But that's going to do it for me today. If there was anything in the video you had a question about, please leave a comment below and I'll do my best to put it in a future video or answer your question. If you liked the video, please do leave a like, and if you want to see more videos like these, subscribe for future content.